Admiral Kalia Chen stood in the cold underground bunker, watching the screens with tired eyes. The room was silent except for the soft peeps of machines. On the largest screen, alien ships landed on Earth's surface. The war that had raged for 10 years was over. Humanity had lost. "Turn it off," she ordered. Her aide pressed a button, and the screen went dark. The bunker, hidden deep under the Himalayan mountains, was one of the last safe places for humans. Outside, the Galactic Coalition, an alliance of 7 alien species, was taking control of Earth. Their massive ships now filled the skies over every major city. Chen walked to the window overlooking the command center. 30 men and women worked at their stations, monitoring what remained of Earth's defenses. They were all that was left of humanity's once great military leadership. "Status report," Chen said. Colonel Rivera approached with a tablet. "Mars outpost has fallen. Admiral. No survivors. Coalition forces have established control points in 47 major cities. They're broadcasting the surrender terms on all channels." Chen nodded. She had expected this. The terms were harsh. Earth would become a resource planet. Its people would work to rebuild the coalition worlds damaged in the war. Humans would have no rights, no freedom, and no future. "And Project Prometheus?" she asked quietly. Rivera looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Dr. Rice reports they're ready for Phase 1. A small spark of hope lit in Chen's chest. 6 miles beneath the Antarctic ice, hidden from coalition scanners, 20 brave volunteers were about to change the course of the war. She walked to her private office and locked the door. On her desk sat a small black device, a quantum communicator that couldn't be traced by coalition technology. She pressed her thumb against it. "Reyes, are you there?" After a moment of static, a man's tired voice replied, "I'm here, Admiral." "They think it's over," Chen said. "The coalition is landing in force. How soon can you be ready?" "The subjects are in final preparation. Their minds are accepting the enhancements better than we hoped, especially Subject 0. Chen had met Subject 0, a young physics student named Jana Mills. There had been something special about her, even before the enhancements, a spark of something powerful. "Any complications?" Chen asked. "Minor neural bleeding in 3 subjects. Nothing we can't manage." Rice paused. "Admiral, once we activate the protocol, there's no going back. The subjects will be changed forever." Chen watched through her small window as her remaining officers received reports of coalition troops entering cities across the globe. They thought they had won. They thought humans would accept defeat like so many other species had before. "The coalition thinks they know humanity," Chen said, her voice hardening. "They think we're just another conquered species, but they don't understand what humans do when cornered. They're about to learn," Rice replied. Chen took a deep breath. 10 years of war. Billions dead. Earth in ruins. And now, humanity's last hope rested with 20 volunteers and their impossible abilities. "Activate the Prometheus protocol," she ordered. "It's time to show them how humans really fight." Dr. Elias Reyes couldn't remember the last time he had slept. His eyes burned as he checked the vital signs of the 20 volunteers. Each one floated in a clear tank filled with a special blue liquid that helped their bodies accept the changes. "Status report," he said to his assistant, Dr. Lin. "All subjects are stable," she replied, not looking up from her screen. "Subject 0's readings are off the charts again." Rice walked to the center tank where Jana Mills floated. Thin wires connected to her head picked up the electrical signals from her brain. On the nearby screen, her brain activity pulsed with unusual patterns. The underground lab was the largest room in the secret Antarctic facility. Hidden beneath 6 miles of ice, it had taken 5 years to build. The coalition never found it, even with their advanced scanners. "Begin Phase 1, Reyes ordered. Technicians moved quickly around the room. The quantum amplifiers, massive machines that looked like metal trees, began to hum. They were designed to connect with the unique properties of human consciousness that scientists had discovered just before the war. It turned out that human minds could sense parts of reality that other species couldn't. Humans could feel and interact with certain quantum frequencies that remained invisible to even the most advanced alien technology. This wasn't magic. It was simply that human brains evolved differently from other species in the galaxy. The Prometheus Protocol would amplify this ability to the point where the volunteers could manipulate these quantum frequencies with their thoughts. Quantum field is stabilizing, Dr. Lin reported, beginning neural synchronization. In her tank, Jana's body twitched. Her eyes moved rapidly behind closed lids as if she was dreaming. Reyes checked the secure communication device on his wrist. Admiral Chen had reported that coalition forces were setting up their main base in Geneva. They had no idea what was coming. First target acquired, the targeting specialist announced. Coalition command ship in orbit over North America. Reyes nodded. Connect Subject 3 to the quantum field. In the third tank, a young man named Marcus began to glow faintly. The computers tracked his brain waves as they synchronized with the quantum amplifiers. Connection established, Dr. Lin said. Subject 3 is reaching the target. On the main screen, they watched a live satellite feed of the massive coalition ship. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the ship's exterior lights flickered. He's in their systems, Rice said softly. He's actually doing it. Inside the coalition ship, navigation systems suddenly showed false readings. Communication devices played static. The aliens rushed to find the problem, but they couldn't detect any attack because they couldn't see the quantum frequencies Marcus was manipulating. Around the world, similar small disruptions began happening on coalition ships and in their bases. Nothing major, just enough to cause confusion and doubt. It's working, Dr. Lin whispered, a tear rolling down her cheek. Phase 1 is working. Rice looked at Jana's tank again. She would be activated last, once the others had prepared the way. According to all their tests, her abilities would be the strongest. Tell Admiral Chen Phase 1 is a success, Rice said, and prepare Subject 0 for activation. It's time to show the Coalition what humanity's really capable of. Jana Mills opened her eyes. The blue liquid drained from her tank as the glass slid open. She took her first breath of cold air and coughed. Dr. Rice stood nearby with a blanket. How do you feel? He asked, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. Jana tried to speak, but no words came. Instead, she looked at her hands. They seemed normal, but they felt different. Everything felt different. Take your time, Dr. Rice said. The changes are significant. Jana looked around the lab. The other 19 volunteers were also waking up in their tanks. Medical staff helped them out, checking their vital signs. But something strange was happening. Jana could see more than just people and equipment. She could see faint lines of light connecting everything in the room. The lines pulsed and shifted like living things. I can see them, she whispered. See what? Dr. Rice leaned closer. The quantum connections, they're everywhere. Jana reached out her hand. The lines of light seemed to respond, moving toward her fingers. On a nearby table, a metal cup suddenly slid an inch to the left. Nobody had touched it. Dr. Rice stared at the cup, then at Jana. Did you do that? She nodded. I just thought about it moving, and it moved. Admiral Chen entered the lab, her eyes wide as she watched the awakened volunteers. Some were sitting quietly, looking confused. Others were already experimenting with their new abilities, making small objects float or causing electronic devices to turn on and off without touching them. It worked, Chen said, approaching Jana and Dr. Rice. All of you survived the procedure. More than survived, Rice replied. They're exhibiting abilities beyond our predictions. Chen looked at Jana. Subject 0. How far can you reach with your mind? Jana closed her eyes. The quantum lines she could see extended beyond the walls of the lab, through the ice above them, and out into the world. She followed them further, up into the sky, reaching toward the stars. I can feel the coalition ships in orbit, she said, her voice stronger now. I can feel the aliens inside them. Their thoughts are different from ours. Sharper, colder. Can you affect them? Chen asked. Like you did with the cup. Jaina concentrated. Miles above Earth, on a Coalition patrol ship, an alien officer suddenly felt a chill run down its spine. It looked around, sensing that something was watching it. Yes, Jaina said, opening her eyes. I can make them feel things. Fear, doubt, confusion. In a secure room at the back of the lab, Dr. Lin approached with a steel box. We need to test the extent of her abilities, she told Chen and Reyes. The box was placed on a table in front of Jaina. This is quantum locked, Dr. Lin explained. According to Coalition science, it's impossible to open without the proper key sequence. Jaina looked at the box. She could see the quantum threads woven tightly around it, creating the lock. She reached out, not with her hand but with her mind, and began to untangle the threads. The box clicked and opened. Admiral Chen's eyes widened. That's Coalition military technology. Their most secure storage system. Not secure from us, Jaina said. A drop of blood appeared from her nose, but she wiped it away without concern. Not anymore. Can you reach beyond Earth? Chen asked. To their homeworlds. Jaina closed her eyes again, reaching farther than before, her face tensed with effort. I can feel them, she whispered. Billions of alien minds across the stars. A tear rolled down her cheek. And I can make them afraid. Fleet Commander Zex Velier stood on the bridge of his massive ship, the Eternal Dominion. The ship hung in space above what used to be New York City. Zex Velier was recording a victory message for his people back home. The human resistance has been crushed, he said into the recorder. Earth is now under Coalition control. Soon, we will. Suddenly, the floor beneath him shifted. Zex Velier stumbled, catching himself against a control panel. Around him, crew members floated up from their seats as the artificial gravity failed. What's happening? He demanded. Unknown, Commander, the chief engineer replied, frantically checking systems. Gravity controls are malfunctioning. Life support is cycling on and off. At the navigation station, officers stared at their screens in confusion. Commander, one called out, sensors are detecting human ships near Jupiter. Impossible, Zex Velier said. We destroyed their space fleet months ago. The readings are clear, sir. 20 human battleships, heavily armed. Zex Velier felt something strange. A cold feeling in his stomach, a tightness in his chest. Fear. It was an unfamiliar sensation for a commander who had won 100 battles. Send a squadron to investigate, he ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Jaina and the other Prometheus subjects sat in a circle. Their minds were linked, working together to reach farther and affect more Coalition technology. The Jupiter illusion is working, Marcus said, blood trickling from his ear. They're sending ships to investigate. Jaina nodded, her eyes closed in concentration. Keep them confused. I'm focusing on their defensive systems. Admiral Chen watched through a window, amazed at what these enhanced humans could do. Dr. Reyes, are they ready for Phase 2? As ready as they'll ever be, Reyes replied. But the strain is significant. We're seeing increased neural bleeding. Chen nodded grimly. Activate the orbital platform. In a hidden bunker in North America, the last human military officers received Chen's signal. They entered codes into an old computer system, bringing to life a weapons platform that had been hidden in orbit, disguised as space debris. The platform powered up, targeting the Coalition ships that were heading toward Jupiter. Ships whose defensive systems were now being scrambled by the Prometheus subjects. In the Antarctic facility, Jaina suddenly gasped. Now, she said. Fire now. The weapons platform fired, launching dozens of missiles at the Coalition squadron. The alien ships, their shields and sensors compromised by the Prometheus subjects, never saw the attack coming. On the Eternal Dominion, Zexvalier watched in horror as his tactical display showed coalition ships exploding near Jupiter. It was impossible. Humans had no weapons that could penetrate coalition shields. "All ships, full alert," he shouted. "This is a coordinated attack." But more systems were failing across his fleet. Navigation showed phantom obstacles. Communication systems broadcast static, and that strange fear continued to grow inside him. For the first time since the war began, coalition ships fell from Earth's sky, burning through the atmosphere like meteors. In the Antarctic facility, several of the Prometheus subjects collapsed from the strain. Jaina's face was covered in blood from her nose and ears, but she smiled. "It's working," she told Admiral Chen. "They don't understand what's happening. They're afraid." Chen watched the tactical displays as more coalition ships reported failures across the solar system. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Now they'll learn what happens when you corner humanity." Grand Strategist Kel Mara stood in the war room on Centauri Prime, the Coalition's capital world. A holographic map showed Earth and the surrounding space. Red markers indicated ships that had been damaged or destroyed in the past 24 hours. "Explain this," she demanded, her 4 eyes narrowing at the officers around her. "We believe it's human insurgents using hidden weapons, Grand Strategist," one officer said. "Nothing to be concerned about." "Nothing to be concerned about." Kel Mara's voice was cold. 27 ships destroyed. Hundreds of crew members reporting hallucinations and mental distress. Systems failing across our entire Earth occupation fleet. She walked around the table, studying the reports. Kelmera had planned the war against Earth from the beginning. She had studied humans for years before the invasion. They were unpredictable, emotional, and refused to surrender even when logic said they should. "There's a pattern here," she said. "These aren't random attacks. The humans have found a way to affect both our technology and our minds simultaneously." She turned to her most trusted advisor, a tall, thin alien named Xantrell. Half of his brain had been replaced with advanced quantum computing technology, making him the smartest being in the coalition. "What do you think, Xantrell?" she asked. He studied the data carefully. "It defies our understanding of physics and neuroscience, but the evidence is clear. The humans have developed something new." Kelmera made her decision. "Prepare your research vessels. Take a military escort. Go to Earth and find whatever weapon they're using." "And when I find it?" Xantrell asked. "Destroy it," Kelmera said. "And anyone who knows how it works." Back on Earth, in the Antarctic facility, the Prometheus subjects were resting. The first attack had taken a heavy toll on their bodies. Medical staff moved from bed to bed, checking vital signs and treating the bleeding. Dr. Reyes stood with Admiral Chen, looking at the medical charts. "It's worse than we expected," he said quietly. 2 subjects are in comas. The others are showing increased brain damage with each use of their abilities. "How long do they have?" Chen asked. "At this rate, a few days, maybe a week." Reyes looked at Jaina, who lay unconscious on a bed nearby. "Subject 0 is the strongest, but she's also pushing herself the hardest. Her brain scans show significant changes." Chen watched Jaina's pale face. Blood had dried around her nose and ears. "Are the changes always negative?" she asked. "Not always," Reyes admitted. "Some areas of her brain are showing increased activity and new neural pathways. It's almost as if..." "As if what?" "As if her brain is evolving, adapting to handle the strain." A technician rushed into the room. "Admiral, we're detecting a large coalition fleet entering the solar system. Research vessels with military escorts." Chen turned to look at the tactical display. "They're searching for us." "We should evacuate," Reyes suggested. "Move the subjects to a different facility." Chen shook her head. "The equipment can't be moved, and the subjects are too unstable for transport." She made a difficult decision. "We stand and fight." She activated her communicator. "Defense team, prepare the mountain artillery. We're about to have visitors. On her bed, Jaina's eyes opened. They were different now, the pupils larger, with small flecks of light that seemed to move within them. "They're coming," she whispered, though no one was close enough to hear her. "Someone with a mind like a machine. He's hunting us." She smiled slightly. "Let him come. I want to see what happens when he finds us." Xantrell stood on the bridge of his research ship as it entered Earth orbit. His enhanced brain processed data from 100 different sensors at once. Something was happening on this planet that defied Coalition science, and he was determined to understand it. "Begin deep scans of the planet's surface," he ordered. "Focus on unusual energy signatures." His crew, a mix of scientists and military personnel, moved quickly to obey. The ship's powerful scanners swept across Earth's surface, searching for anything unusual. After an hour, a junior scientist approached. "Sir, we're detecting small quantum anomalies from the southern region." Cantrell examined the data himself. The anomalies were coming from Antarctica, faint disturbances in quantum fields that normal scanners would never detect. But Cantrell's augmented mind could see patterns where others saw only noise. "Deploy the specialized drones," he ordered. "I want that area mapped down to the molecular level." As the drones launched from his ship, Cantrell felt something strange, a slight pressure inside his mind, as if someone was gently touching his thoughts. He frowned. This was new. "Someone is trying to access my mind," he said to himself. Fascinating. Deep under the Antarctic ice, alarms blared through the Prometheus facility. Technicians rushed from station to station as tracking systems followed the Coalition ships in orbit. "They've launched drones," one reported to Admiral Chen. "Advanced models with quantum detection equipment." Chen turned to Dr. Reyes. "How soon can the subjects be operational again?" Before Reyes could answer, Jaina spoke from her bed. She was sitting up now, looking stronger despite the dried blood still visible on her face. "I'm ready now," she said. Her voice was different, calmer and more confident than before. "Jaina, your brain needs more time to recover," Reyes protested. "There is no more time," she replied, standing up. The other Prometheus subjects who were still conscious also began to rise from their beds, moving as if drawn by Jaina's presence. "They're hunting us. I can feel their machines searching." Chen studied Jaina's face. The young woman's eyes had changed. There were now small flecks of light moving within her pupils, like tiny stars. "What do you see?" Chen asked. "The hunter has a mind like nothing I've encountered before," Jaina said. "Half biological, half machine. He's resistant to our influence." She looked directly at Chen. "He's tracking our quantum signatures. He'll find us soon." Chen made her decision. "Activate the mountain defenses. Prepare for surface attack." Hidden within the Antarctic mountains surrounding the facility, massive artillery cannons, concealed for years under artificial ice and snow, began to move into position. They were powered by the facility's nuclear reactor, capable of firing shells that could damage even Coalition capital ships. In orbit, Xantrell's drones sent back their first detailed scans. The data showed unusual heat signatures beneath the ice, evidence of a large underground facility. "We found them," he said, a smile forming on his thin lips. "Prepare landing ships. I want troops on the ground in." He stopped mid-sentence as his ship's systems suddenly flickered. The pressure in his mind increased, becoming almost painful. "They know we're here," he realized. "They're trying to disable us, just like the other ships." But unlike the other Coalition commanders, Xantrell's augmented brain provided some resistance to the mental attack. He could feel someone, or something, trying to cloud his thoughts, create fear and confusion. It was like invisible fingers probing his consciousness. "Interesting technique," he whispered, "but not enough to stop me." He gave the order, and Coalition dropships began their descent toward Antarctica. The final battle for humanity's secret weapon had begun. As Coalition dropships descended toward Antarctica, Jaina Mills stood in the center of the Prometheus facility. The other conscious subjects gathered around her in a circle. Blood trickled from their noses and ears, but none of them seemed to notice the pain anymore. "I understand now," Jaina said softly. Her eyes glowed with tiny points of light, like stars in a night sky. "What we're doing is just the beginning." Dr. Reyes checked her vital signs on a portable scanner. The readings made no sense. Her brain activity was off the charts, showing patterns he had never seen before. "Jaina, what's happening to you?" he asked. "Evolution," she replied simply. "My mind is changing. I can see more clearly now." She looked up as if she could see through the miles of ice above them. "I can see the patterns of reality itself." Above the facility, coalition troops landed on the snowy surface. They deployed heavy weapons and began to advance toward the hidden entrance. Admiral Chen watched on the security monitors. "Defense teams in position," the soldier reported. "Mountain artillery ready to fire." Chen gave the order, and massive cannons hidden in the surrounding mountains opened fire. Explosive shells rained down on the coalition forces, creating chaos on the icy battlefield. In orbit, Xantrell monitored the battle from his flagship. He detected a massive surge of quantum activity from the facility below. Seconds later, every system on his ship failed simultaneously. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power died. "We're losing orbit," an officer shouted. "Gravitational systems offline." The massive research vessel began to fall toward Earth's atmosphere. Alarms blared as the crew rushed to evacuation pods. But Xantrell didn't move. Instead, he locked himself in his private laboratory and redirected the ship's remaining emergency power to his specialized equipment. If he was going to die, he would die understanding this impossible human weapon. Inside the Prometheus facility, coalition forces breached the outer defenses. Admiral Chen led a group of soldiers in a desperate last stand at the main entrance, but they were outmatched. Coalition weapons tore through the human defenders. "Fall back to the inner chamber," Chen ordered. "Protect the subjects at all costs." In the central chamber, Jaina suddenly stood from the circle. Her body seemed to glow from within, casting strange shadows on the walls. "Dr. Reyes," she said, "I need to tell you something important." Blood flowed freely from her eyes now, staining her cheeks crimson. "It's not about manipulating technology. That was just the first step." "What do you mean?" Reyes asked, backing away slightly. Something about Jaina had become frightening, beautiful but terrifying. "The Prometheus protocol opened a door in our minds," Jaina explained. The other subjects turned toward her, their eyes also beginning to glow. "We thought we were just affecting machines, but we're actually touching something much deeper." Outside, they could hear the sounds of battle growing closer. Coalition troops would reach the central chamber soon. "What are we touching?" Reyes asked. Jaina smiled, her bloody face serene despite the chaos around them. "Reality itself," she whispered. "And now we're going to change it." The doors to the central chamber shuddered as coalition weapons began to cut through. Admiral Chen and her remaining soldiers took up defensive positions, preparing for their final stand. Jaina looked at the 17 remaining conscious subjects. "Are you ready to transcend?" she asked. They nodded in unison, their glowing eyes fixed on her face. "Then let's show them what humanity can really do," she said. The doors to the central chamber burst open. Coalition soldiers rushed in, weapons ready. Admiral Chen and her defenders fired back, but they were quickly overwhelmed. The air filled with energy blasts and the smell of burning metal. In the center of the room, Jaina and the 17 other Prometheus subjects joined hands. Their eyes glowed brighter now, like small suns. Blood streamed down their faces, but they smiled as if feeling no pain. "Now," Jaina said. Dr. Reyes watched in amazement as the subjects began to glow with bright white light. The light spread from their bodies, filling the room and blinding everyone. Coalition soldiers dropped their weapons, covering their eyes. "What's happening?" Chen shouted over the strange humming sound that filled the air. "I don't know," Reyes called back, shielding his eyes with his arm. "Their minds are somehow affecting physical reality." Across the galaxy, astronomers on 1,000 worlds turned their telescopes toward Earth. A massive quantum anomaly had appeared at the South Pole, an impossible distortion in space-time that briefly connected all points in the observable universe. On Centauri Prime, Grand Strategist Kelmera was awakened by urgent alarms. She rushed to the command center, where scientists stared at screens in shock. "What am I looking at?" she demanded. "An energy burst from Earth," a scientist explained, his voice shaking. "Unlike anything we've ever seen. It's as if space itself is bending around the planet." In his falling ship, Chantrell felt the change. His augmented brain detected the quantum waves spreading outward from Antarctica. He laughed as his instruments recorded the impossible event. "They've done it," he whispered as his ship plunged toward the Atlantic Ocean. "They've evolved beyond physical form." The light from the Prometheus facility expanded, forming a perfect dome of energy over Antarctica. Then, in an instant, it collapsed inward. When it cleared, there was nothing left but a perfectly circular crater where the facility had been. Admiral Chen was gone. Dr. Rice was gone. The Prometheus subjects were gone. The Coalition soldiers were gone. But something new had been born. Across Earth, humans woke from sleep with strange dreams. Some reported hearing voices or seeing faces in their minds. Children pointed at empty spaces and spoke of the Shining People. On Coalition ships, crew members experienced hallucinations. They saw human faces watching them from reflective surfaces. Equipment malfunctioned in new ways. Some aliens reported feeling human emotions that were not their own. And on Centauri Prime, Grand Strategist Kelmera woke screaming from a nightmare. In her dream, billions of human voices had spoken to her at once. "We are no longer bound by flesh." Rescue teams found Chantrell on an Atlantic beach, laughing as they pulled him from the wreckage of his ship. His augmented brain had been changed by contact with the quantum event. "What happened down there?" an officer asked him. "A miracle," Chantrell replied, still laughing. "The humans found a way to transcend physical existence. They've moved their consciousness into subspace itself." "That's impossible," the officer said. "Not for humans," Chantrell replied. His eyes had a strange light in them now, similar to what had been seen in Janus. "They were always different from us. Their minds work in ways we never understood." He looked up at the sky, and now they're everywhere. That night, on every Coalition world, the same message appeared on every screen, spoken in a chorus of voices. "The war has entered a new phase. We are humanity transcended. And we are coming." 1 month after the Antarctica event, the war had changed completely. Coalition forces found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't see or touch. On a Coalition base in what was once Beijing, Commander Vextal woke suddenly. The dream had come again, human faces watching him, whispering things he couldn't quite hear. He hadn't slept properly in weeks. None of his soldiers had. "Status report," he demanded as he entered the command center. "Sir, we've lost contact with 3 more patrols," his second-in-command reported. "And the supply ships are reporting navigation problems again." Vextal slammed his fist on the table. This was happening everywhere. Human resistance fighters seemed to know their patrol routes before they did. Coalition ships got lost or experienced equipment failures. And the dreams, always the dreams. "A rumor is spreading among the troops," his second-in-command said quietly. "They say humans can possess our minds." "Nonsense," Vextal snapped, but he didn't sound convinced. Too many strange things had happened. On Centauri Prime, Grand Strategist Kelmera called an emergency meeting of the Coalition High Command. The war room was tense as military leaders from 7 alien species gathered. "The situation on Earth is unacceptable," Kelmera announced. 1 month ago, humans discovered a way to convert themselves into energy beings. They now exist in subspace, where they can affect our technology and even our minds. "Can we fight such an enemy?" asked a reptilian general. "No," Kelmera admitted. "Not directly. But we can destroy their planet of origin." A murmur went through the room. "I am authorizing a scorched earth policy," she continued. "If humans have somehow evolved into energy beings, we will destroy their homeworld and any remaining biological humans. Perhaps this will weaken or eliminate the energy beings as well." She brought up a hologram showing a massive fleet of ships. "The Planet Killer fleet is ready. These ships carry weapons that can crack Earth's crust and make the planet uninhabitable." The coalition leaders nodded in agreement. It was an extreme solution, but the situation was desperate. As the Planet Killer fleet prepared to depart for the Sol system, strange things began happening on Centauri Prime. Important officials fell into catatonic states. Military commanders made bizarre decisions. And the dreams intensified. Human faces watching, always watching. The fleet entered hyperspace, beginning the 3-day journey to Earth. On the flagship, Admiral Zorvax reviewed the attack plan. Earth would be surrounded. The weapons would fire simultaneously. Within hours, the planet would be destroyed. Suddenly, every screen on the ship changed. The face of a human woman appeared, Gina Mills, or something wearing her appearance. Behind her stood other humans, including Admiral Chen and Dr. Reyes. They looked solid but somehow different, as if they were made of light rather than flesh. "This message is being broadcast to all coalition vessels," Jaina said. Her voice was calm but powerful. "We wish to inform you that we no longer need Earth. We exist in subspace now, in the quantum foam between realities." She smiled, and it was both beautiful and terrifying. "Your technology, your ships, your neural networks, they're all part of our domain now. We can reach them all." Admiral Zorvax tried to cut the transmission, but nothing worked. "We remain human in our determination," Jaina continued. "This is your only warning. Turn back or face consequences beyond your understanding." The screens went dark. Admiral Zorvax looked at his officers, seeing the fear in their eyes. "Continue as planned," he ordered. "They're bluffing." But deep inside, he wondered if they were. The Coalition Planet Killer fleet continued toward Earth. Admiral Zorvax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as they approached the halfway point to the Sol system. No sign of resistance, his second-in-command reported. Perhaps they were bluffing after all. Suddenly, every light on the ship went out. Emergency systems activated, casting a red glow across the bridge. Zorvax rushed to the control panel. "What's happening?" he demanded. "All ships have lost power simultaneously," an officer reported, voice shaking. "Navigation systems they're changing by themselves." On the main screen, the ship's course changed. They were no longer heading to Earth. They were turning back toward Centauri Prime. "Override," Zorvax shouted. "We can't," the navigation officer replied. "The system isn't accepting commands." An engineer rushed to try another control panel. The moment he touched it, the life support in his section shut down. He gasped for air, collapsing to the floor. "Stop trying to change course," a calm voice said. Admiral Zorvax turned to find Admiral Chen standing beside him. Not the real Chen. She had disappeared in the Antarctica event, but a projection of her, glowing slightly. "Your ships are returning to Centauri Prime," Chen said. "Any attempt to override will result in life support failure throughout the vessel. We don't want to kill you, but we will if necessary." Across the fleet, the same message was delivered by different human projections. Every ship found itself locked on a return course to Centauri Prime. On Centauri Prime, Grand Strategist Kelmera received the news with disbelief. The most powerful fleet in Coalition history had been turned back without firing a single shot. "Impossible," she whispered. "Not impossible for us," said a voice behind her. Kelmera spun around to see Jana Mills standing in her private office. The human woman glowed faintly, and her eyes contained moving points of light like stars. "The Galactic War is indeed over," Jaina said, "but not how you planned." The terms of peace were delivered simultaneously to every coalition world. Earth and the Sol system would remain independent. All human colonies would be returned. And most importantly, coalition species would share their technology freely with humans, helping the remaining biological humanity rebuild. In exchange, Jaina explained, the Ascended, as we now call ourselves, will share limited access to our understanding of quantum reality. And if we refuse, Kel, Mara asked. Jaina smiled. We already control your ships, your communications, and your defense systems. We can reach into the minds of your leaders. There is no refusing. The peace treaty was signed the next day. Coalition forces began withdrawing from Earth and human colonies. Ships that had been about to destroy humanity's homeworld now delivered supplies and aid. In what had once been Geneva, human survivors began rebuilding. Strange things happened around them. Tools moving by themselves. Machines working without power. The Ascended were helping in their own way. On the final day of the coalition withdrawal, Admiral Chen appeared to Kel Mara one last time. We were always different, Chen said. Our minds never worked quite like yours. You saw it as a weakness, our unpredictability, our emotions, our refusal to calculate odds before taking risks. But those differences allowed us to perceive reality in ways your species never could. Across the galaxy, telescopes detected quantum anomalies blossoming in unexplored regions of space. The Ascended were expanding, exploring realms no physical being could reach. Humanity had not just survived, it had transcended the battlefield entirely. And the universe would never be the same.